We're live. Okay, I need to get my teacup. Ugh. Hello, everyone. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees. Welcome to yet another installment of the Teacup for One Movie Club. As you know, or I'm guessing as you know, we are about 3/4 of the way through April, also known as Peter Pan Month. So this entire month has been dedicated to what we're calling the Peter Pan Movie Marathon. Every week, we've been coming together to discuss a different adaptation of J.M. Barrie's classic, slightly disturbing story about the boy who couldn't, nay, wouldn't grow up. So we started with the Broadway musical with Kathy Rigby, which is, in my opinion, the definitive perfect Peter Pan adaptation. And we've kind of been comparing all the other ones to that, or at least I have. We've been coming together to discuss other adaptations. So last week we discussed the Disney animated one, the first talking film adaptation of Peter Pan, fun fact, and the second film adaptation overall. Like, the only one prior was a silent film, and let's be honest, silent films don't count for anything unless they have like Buster Keaton or Charlie Chaplin, or they're made by the Méliès brothers. But this week we are discussing like the first major live action adaptation of Peter Pan, which is of course the 2003 film featuring I was gonna say Jeremy Isaacs. I was like, that's not a person. Jason Isaacs. Is there one or two of him? Yeah, Jason Isaacs from Harry Potter as Captain Hook, in addition to Jeremy Sumpter as Peter Pan. He did almost nothing else after that, so I can't really say he's from anything else. And then an incredible supporting cast. So I'm excited to talk about this movie. Who is with us tonight? If you're here, let us know in the comment section. Give us a shout out, give us a hello. And we are going to bring in our panel of esteemed guests for tonight. So excited to have them. Let's start. As always, they don't know who it's going to be. It's Lauren, everyone.
Hello. How are you?
Lauren, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm
Wonderful.
excited to talk about this movie.
I'm excited to talk about this movie with you. But first, I'm excited about your shirt. What are you wearing? It's so beautiful.
Yes, it is the I Survived the Pandapocalypse shirt, available in the Teacup for One store.
It is. I didn't even. Oh, wow. Product placement. I didn't even have to pay for it. Amazing.
I know.
Lauren, thank you so much for getting my shirt. I'm so happy.
I love it.
Said.
Yeah,
like I
love
said,
it.
like the support makes me happy, but just the fact that someone on the other side of this landmass we're on is wearing the thing that I designed, paying tribute to my favorite city and one of my new favorite Disney movies. Like, so many things just make me very, very smiley. So thank you.
Exactly.
So Lauren, tell us about you. Tell us about Castles, Capes, and Clones. You know the drill. What have you got going on?
Yeah, well, we are Castles, Capes, and Clones on YouTube. And we do a whole bunch of things, from unboxings to movie reviews. I do a lot of reaction videos. Every Friday, I do a From 0 to 60, which is where we look at the films of Walt Disney Animation Studios. And then I think that I've got a whole bunch of box swaps coming up.
I love those.
A whole bunch of tags coming up. So it's and a whole bunch of pin unboxings. So that's what's going on in my world. But before you go to somebody else, I just wanted to say that this shirt is one of the most comfortable shirts I've ever worn. So get one today.
Thank you, Lauren. See, another satisfied customer. We love it. All right, let's bring in our next guest for this evening. It's Kaylee from Fantasmic Fandoms. Hi, Kaylee.
Yay!
Hi.
Welcome
I'm also
back.
here with
Oh, Tinkerbell with her thimble.
Yes.
I love her.
Yes.
I'm looking at your Funko Pops also. Is that Gilderoy Lockhart?
It is.
Oh.
It is. Because up here, you guys can't really, I can kind of show you. Up there is like all of my Harry Potter Funko Pops and collection. I'll have to make a video on it one day.
Yes,
It's
please
quite-
do. I got excited because it's Kenneth Branagh, who I don't like as a director, but I just appreciate as a human because Shakespeare movies. But also, he's one
Yeah.
of the few Ravenclaws that like are prolific, and all the Ravenclaw characters are actually the worst, which makes me sad as a Ravenclaw. But I'll stick to what I've got. So, Kaylee, tell us about you. Tell us about Fantastic Fandoms. What's your channel about, and do you have anything exciting coming up that you'd like us to know about?
Yes. So I'm Kaylee. My channel is Fantasmic Fandoms. And I have been doing some live shows. Actually had Matt on one of my live shows
It was so
not
much
that
fun.
long ago. Yeah, so I like to talk to creators and that make a good impact in the community and spread kindness. And I'm taking a little break from that, mostly because like in May we got like Mother's Day coming up and like Easter happened, and I'm about to be on vacation, so I'm going to be away for a few weeks. So I'm taking a small break from those, but those are going to come back. And I also have some vlogs coming, and
Nice.
I'm basically doing a rebrand of my channel. It's taking a little longer than expected, but I'm still happy to be a part of the community.
And we're happy to have you a part of the community. I'm so excited to have you back for another chat. I just love having you on the show. Amazing. All right. Well, wait to hear your thoughts on the movie. Next up, who's it going to be? I could see both of them in the waiting room, and they look so like, is it me? I don't know. Let's bring in Lisa because she's laughing. There it is. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome back. Oh, I'm so happy to have you again. So, Lisa, tell us all about you. Tell us about Lisa. Tell us about. Oh, wait, is today your Kahoot anniversary? Your Kahoot anniversary?
Yes.
Is that what Instagram showed me?
Yes, that's what Instagram shows you. You were correct. So I'm a theater producer in Toronto, Canada, and I work for a company called Cahoots Theater. And I've been there for 2 years already as a managing producer. So I'm very excited.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah. That's really all I do. I produce theater.
That's like a full-time job and a half.
Oh my goodness, tell me about it. Yeah, we have a show coming up in June in Toronto. So anyone who's watching in the GTA, stay posted on that. You can follow us at Cahoots Theater on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And you'll probably see me around if you do.
Oh, I'm so excited. You haven't announced what it is yet, have you?
No, not yet.
No? Okay, cool.
No.
I wanted to make sure I was paying adequate attention. Okay, good to know. All right, and Canadians taking over the stream because we've also got Kristen Zaza with us tonight.
Hey.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming back. So, yeah, we had you on the show back in December. We discussed Christmas Carol. It was a delight. Hold on, I'm going to see. Do I like this format better? Yes, I do. It was a delight. So happy to have you back. So, yeah, for those who might not know you, Kristen, tell us who you are, what you do.
I am a podcaster primarily. I have an audio drama podcast called On a Dark Cold Night, which is a bedtime ghost story podcast. So every week you can catch a new story between about 30, 45 minutes around there. And I write them every week. And yeah, I'm coming up on, I just released episode 190 today, and season 2 will finish at episode 200. So we're sort of, yeah.
Amazing.
And then I'm going to take a break for a little bit, maybe just a little nap, and then see what the future holds after that.
Brilliant.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. I remember when
you.
you were first starting it. Now it's almost at 200. That's thrilling. Where has the time gone? I know, to a worldwide pandemic that messed with my temporal perception. And yeah, here we are.
One of my catchphrases on the show, one of my catchphrases is there's no such thing as time. And I find that very comforting. So
I like that.
for what that's worth.
I really like
And
that.
very appropriate for Peter Pan, I would say.
It
I
is.
was just about to say.
Oh, it's all coming together. All right. So excited to talk about this movie. Let's quickly jump to the chat to see who we have with us. Speaking of chat is French for cat. And Eliza, my cat, is here. Hello, Eliza. Always a pleasure.
Oh, hi,
Fun
Eliza.
fact,
Hi,
Eliza's
Eliza.
Instagram account got suspended because Instagram was like, you're not a legal adult. You can't have this. And then we were like, it's a cat. It was like, doesn't matter. It's like, look at all these pictures of the cat. They were like, nope. Okay. Tim and Katie are here. Hello.
Hi, Tim and Katie.
Loving the Peter Pan 03 adaptation.
Yeah.
So that's the first question. Who here had seen this movie before? Show of hands.
I
Okay,
feel like I had seen it, but I completely forgot it.
But you forgot? All right, cool. So pretty evenly balanced, exciting. So then I guess the first question I'll throw to Kaylee and Kristen, which is the one I usually open with, is what was your first encounter with this movie? If you want to speak to what it meant to you as a child, and then we'll kind of circle back to what it means to you for now. Like for me, my first encounter with the movie was I saw it in theaters. I was super excited for it. And I was just like slightly too old for it, but I was the same person I am now. And I really loved Peter Pan. And I was like, I don't care that I'm however old I was, probably like 16, between 16 and 18. I was like, I don't care that I'm going to be the only teenager going to this movie. I'm seeing it. And I did. And my thoughts on it really haven't changed. I thought then this is a very good Peter Pan adaptation that's true to the book, because I read the book in grade 9, and that's how I feel now. So like it doesn't have much nostalgic value for me. It's a movie that's there. Yeah. Kaylee, how about you?
It's very nostalgic because I don't remember seeing it in theaters, but I was 6 when it came out. And I remember watching, I had it on DVD, and I remember watching it. I had to have watched it at least 100 times.
Oh my gosh.
But I was obsessed. Like I remember watching as a kid, I watched all the extra credits. I saw how they built like all the stuff. I was obsessed with it. I also had like this unnatural like hatred for the actress that played Wendy at the time. I rewatched it. I love her. She's great. But like, no, at the time I was so mad because I had the biggest crush on Jeremy Sumter. I was like, this is my soulmate. This man, like 6 to 9-year-old me was like obsessed. And then, I kind of like got out of it when I got older, obviously. But like, no, for like 3 solid years, that was like one of my favorite go-to movies because number one, he was a cutie. And it just was so magical. Like the music gets me every time. The music I think is it just puts you in the moment. And some of the lines are just very classic and just, yeah. So I still love it. It was nostalgic watching it back. I watched it yesterday for probably the first time in years. And it was different than I remember a little bit, but it was very nostalgic.
Nice. And Kristen, how about you?
Well, it's interesting because I fall, I think, right in between both of your experiences, Matt and Kaylee, because I was, I think, smack dab 13 or 14. Like I think how old Jeremy Sumter and Rachel Hurdwood is her name. I think I was like the exact target audience for this movie. And I did see it in the theaters with my best friend, and we were like, yep, there's a lot of it's for sure I think aimed at that audience. It examines the idea of growing up for that exact age group. And I think it was like a big old dilemma for me because I was like, yeah, Jeremy Sumter's cute for sure, but Jason Isaacs was kind of a fox, and that was very complicated being that age and watching that movie because
the chat agrees with you.
I was like, I'm probably going to go in and just address the elephant in the room right away and be like, this is a very romantic movie for, and I have weird feelings about that rewatch. I literally just rewatched it before coming on.
Nice.
And I was like, yep, now that I'm 32, looking back on it, I have a little bit of a different experience watching it. I'm not going to lie. But at the time, it meant a lot to me. I agree. The music's gorgeous. It's beautiful to look at. The color palette is extraordinary. The costumes. I love it very much. But as I have gotten older, I've found diminishing returns with it, is how I'll put it.
Good. Oh, wow. Big words. I love it. All right. So before we move on to how does it hold up now, and before we get first impressions from Lauren and Lisa, let's just jump. We have more friends here in the chat. Eliza brought my mom. Fantastic.
Martha.
Bob's here, but just going to chill and listen. Absolutely happy to have you, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Okay. Martha said hello again. Oh, yeah. And Vincent's here. Woo.
Vincent.
Hello, Vincent.
Thank you for joining us, friends. Okay, so now the big question. How does this movie hold up now, whether you're revisiting it or if you've seen it for the first time? Like, I kind of addressed it. I feel like I have the same thoughts on it that I had back in the day when I first saw it in theaters. I think it's fine. I think it's a decently made movie. I think it's very inarguably the most faithful on-screen adaptation of Peter Pan. And on paper, that should mean I should like it more than I do, but I don't. But like for someone who loves the material as much as I do, and like J.M. Barrie's original words, the fact that they retained so much of that, and the fact that they brought life to a lot of the images that he describes in the novel, I should love the movie more than I do. And maybe it's just a map problem, but like I think it's a well-made film, and I think it's a good adaptation. I think my main issue is that Jeremy Sumter's not a good actor, and
It's like 14.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know what? I thought of that, but then all the other kids are fantastic. And like, honestly, if I was casting this movie, the kid who plays Slightly would have been Peter for me because he has like 5 lines and
That's
they're
fair.
so engaging.
He's
And
outstanding, yeah.
a kid who understands subtext. And like I know why they cast Jeremy because he's very much like of the character. He has kind of that cocky, youthful energy, and he's someone that I feel they cast because they knew that they could edit around him. And because he's not a great actor, he has this kind of neutral, emotionless feel to him that's very right for how they wrote Peter in this, where they're like, he can't love. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. That's why you picked the kid who can't emote. Because he can't love. So there it is. But yeah, Lisa, what are your first impressions of this movie as an adult seeing it for the first time?
Yeah. So I wondered why I never saw it as a kid. So I was in grade 3 or 4, and I guess I was watching Bruce Almighty and What a Girl Wants. That's what my parents brought me to. But I watched it on Sunday with my partner, and I think it's the worst movie I've ever seen. I sat there and I was like, oh, I don't like Wendy. And then I was like, as the movie progressed, I was like, I actually like Rachel Hurd-Wood. Like she was a solid Wendy character from all the adaptations I've seen. But Jeremy, what's his name? Sumter? It was like so progressively bad, his performance. And I was like, well, maybe it's like the director's fault or like the editing. And I was like, no, this kid's just really bad. And I appreciated how like devoted it was to the original text. But because I find that the original text is a bit problematic for like various reasons, it made me dislike the original text even more. I will say the redeeming quality was Jason Isaac's hook. Like he was so vicious. He was so captivating. He was really great as the dad as well. I loved all the fight choreography scenes, but honestly, it was like an hour too long for me. I feel like I would have loved it as a kid, but as a 27-year-old, I wanted my $5 rental fee back.
Fun. Oh, we'll circle around to that. Hi, new friends. Hi, Malik.
Hey, Ben and Danielle.
Yeah, like I will say, kind of to build off of what Lisa just said and to expand on what I said about how it used the original text. Like I do agree that in some ways that made me like it less because it's like watching people perform Shakespeare badly. At least that was my perception, where I was like, the words are so good, and I think it's no fault even of the kids. And this is why I think the musical is the best adaptation, because I think these roles are best inhabited by adults who have the emotional understanding of like the full picture of what they're going through. So just that opening scene when Wendy and Peter meet, like on paper, so beautiful. It's like almost word for word lifted from the novel / from the play, but it's just like watching Rachel Hurd-Wood speak to a wall. And it's just like the conversation's not happening, ergo the heart of the scene's not there. No.
I also found that this Peter Pan was just creepy, which was interesting and made me think like, oh, this should be a horror story. But
that's why I like it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this creepy little kid trying to like kidnap all these kids and be a narcissist. I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, especially since I just watched the Disney Peter Pan one. It was interesting to compare.
Oh, for sure, definitely. Definitely. There's a lot to be said there between the time period difference and when it was made, even just the live action versus animated. There's a lot to unpack, just like when I get back from Disney World. Lauren, what are your thoughts as a first-time viewer?
Yes, well, I did watch it back in the day.
Okay.
But I have an excuse because I'm old now. I was 34 when that movie came out. So I forget things. Anyway, I watched it at 11 o'clock last night, and I thought, this is the worst movie I've ever seen.
Thank you, Lauren.
Well, hold on. Before that, then I got into a debate with my friend Jay, because he's like, I was like, I had to watch this piece of crap movie. and he's like, first of all, it's an excellent film. So I'm like, oh, fine, I'll watch it again. and I actually didn't mind it so much, but I agree with a lot of your points. Like I do feel there was just something about Jeremy Sumter. Like I kept thinking that he was going to lick her face every 5 seconds, and it just made me really uncomfortable. I was like, "Oh my god, just go ahead, lick her face." And
Oh wow.
I couldn't. I just couldn't take it. But I agree that Jason Isaac was very good as Captain Hook, and so I really enjoyed that. Again, questions on the Native Americans. I don't even know if they were actually speaking in a Native American tongue.
Oh, they
I
were.
was-
She was
Oh, they
speaking
were.
in I can't remember which dialect it is, but no, she was like, that's one of the big things that people like about this movie, or not even like, but that's one of the more progressive things, is that's the first Peter Pan movie where Tiger Lily legitimately speaks an indigenous language and
Oh,
speaks
good.
basically, which like I personally really like the Tiger Lily portrayal in this movie.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Because I was like, when I was listening to it, I thought she was saying a bunch of gibberish. But then
I think it's just that she's
I don't
not a
know
good
what it is.
actor.
Yeah,
I
maybe
think
that's
it's
it.
that. Yeah.
Child hit or miss.
Yeah.
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 So I'm kind of midline on this movie. I like that they did explore like sexuality at a young age and what it means to grow up. Like I did like that. I felt like, there were other things that like I felt like Mr. Darling could have been stronger. Like I don't like the way that they changed him for this movie. I don't know if that's how he's supposed to be in the Jamberry book. I read that a while ago, but again, old, so I can't remember. And then what was the addition of the grandmother for? I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love Lynn Redgrave, but yeah, so anyway, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it.
Fair enough. And Kaylee, how was it for you revisiting the movie now?
Well, I feel like I probably liked it the most out of everyone. But it's still so nostalgic. I mean, obviously, like I said, I first off, I did not get the creepy vibe as a 6-year-old. I actually was creeped out by the original Peter Pan, but this one was like comforting to me for some strange reason. I really I think I liked the idea of like that kind of escape, like some, to me, cute boy like coming to your window, and like I don't know, it was cute. But no, it held. My first biggest revelation was that I actually did like Wendy, because when I tell you I had a fiery hatred for her as a child, because I was so jealous, because they actually had a thing off screen. I remember watching the behind the scenes and then being like, oh yeah, they have this little romance, and I'm like, I hate her. Because I was like a 7-year-old in love with him, and I was like, I was like, oh. But I will say, obviously, he's a child, and I definitely do see the acting things that y'all say. Like when that was one of my thoughts, was like, he's not the best actor. The scene that really got it for me was the one where he's like trying to reattach his shadow, and he like starts crying. I'm like, this is horrible. This is a horrible, horrible scene. This is pathetic. Like, I'm sorry. I know he probably tried, but that was like the worst crying scene I've ever seen in my life.
Did you not see him reviving Tink?
Okay, look, that scene is weird to me, but also very nostalgic, because that was one of my favorite scenes as a kid. So I'm very biased in the sense of like, I did love this movie as a kid. I appreciated Jason Isaacs more, because I didn't know who Jason Isaacs was at all as a kid watching this. It didn't click with me until later that he was also in Harry Potter and like all this stuff. So Avatar, all the things. So I would say it definitely went down. Like if I was a kid watching it, I would have given it like a 10 out of 10, because I was in love with Jeremy Sumter. And I also just thought it was magical. But now I'd say I'd still probably give it a 7 or 6.5. I mean, just mostly nostalgia. But I still think, like I said, the music and it holds up at certain points.
I think if
that's
I
where I
were
stand too.
I think if I were to watch it when I was younger, I think that I would have probably felt that nostalgia just because I was older when I watched it. I don't feel it, but I totally get what you're saying,
Yeah.
and you should love it.
I will say too, like you said, Matt, I agree that I think Slightly would have been, the actor that played him would have been really good. Except I almost feel like they maybe realized, I don't know if it's, I guess like maybe in the OG, like the book, maybe Peter was meant to be this way, but maybe they also just realized that Jeremy Sumpter was this kind of actor, and they're like, let's just make him kind of chill. Like, let's make him kind of emotionless.
But read what Tim and Katie are saying down there.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Jerry Sumter was later quoted as saying he intentionally botched the kissing scene. Ugh.
So like he was not even
Gross.
pretending to be creepy. He just
They
was.
were like dating though. They had a flirty
Yeah,
thing,
come on.
and I wanted to be. I was so mad. I remember looking up one time how old she was and getting so upset that she was a few years older than me, and I was like, it could have been me. I was like that invested. When I tell you I watched this movie like 100 times, I really watched it like 100 times. Okay, I was a nerd.
Like, I will say also, I like that they cast Wendy at the age that they cast her, because I think she was probably between 12 and 13 when she was cast, or when she actually did it, because you so rarely see people who are that actual age on screen, because like puberty is a weird age and it does weird things to your face, and like that just is what growing up is. So like very often they'll have older people playing younger for that reason, or like younger playing younger, but it was so like perfectly imperfect, I think, to just have that authenticity of like she is actually a person who is like at that age, as opposed to someone playing younger. I thought like she's probably, well, her and Jason Isaac, to me, like they carry the movie. I love both of them so much, and I think she's probably my favorite on-screen Wendy.
Yeah.
I think we'll discuss Wendy. Kristen, how about you? How does it hold up? You've heard all of this. I've seen you like react passionately to some things. Let's hear it. What do you think?
I feel the same as Kaylee. I would give it, you know what? I would still give it a 7 or an 8. You know, having been like, when I saw it in the theaters, there was this element of, I was maybe 13, 14, but I was very like above it all. Like the stuff that I was consuming was a lot more mature. Like I didn't want to watch I liked kids movies, but like I wanted to watch darker stuff, more mature stuff. I was reading darker, more mature things. And I saw this in the theaters and was surprised that it spoke to me. So I know that I'm saying, how does it hold up now? So yeah, I'm going in with that nostalgia factor. I think everybody's being a little harsh on Jeremy Sumpter. I understand he's not Daniel Day-Lewis over here, but like, you know,
imagine Daniel Day-Lewis's pan in this movie.
I will say it's interesting that, okay, so I'm watching it from a more psychological perspective now, I guess, and I love Mr. Darling even more. I did at the time, but as an adult who's enduring things like, you know, social anxiety and economic problems, and, you know, like the problems with being a grown-up, or the idea of taking your dreams and putting them in a drawer, you know, like I thought that was actually quite poignant at the age I'm at now. And I think that metaphor held up. And of course, the double casting with Hook was it's always poignant for that reason. But I don't know. I read more into it this time and was finding more parallels with the adults. And while I think the metaphor crumbles a little bit with Wendy and everybody talking about, you know, the idea of a young girl becoming a woman and their ideas of it, I know it's from a bygone age, but that is sort of difficult to watch now, to be like, you know, to see how she's starting to pigeonhole her life already. I wish that the Mr. Darling treatment could have been applied to Wendy a little bit more, as it, you know, as a modern adaptation. How could we have taken that same difficulties of growing up, or expectations, or societal pressure, and apply that to Wendy? Because you did have a really talented young actress playing her, and she is the protagonist. So that's sort of what I take away from it now, but I do think that there's stuff to be mined that they were exploring, not always perfectly, but I think they tried, and I still enjoy it for that.
Mhm.
Yeah, they did try. They did try, and I think some of the tries succeeded. And yeah, for the most part, there's nothing that I really like actively dislike about the movie. I'm not sure what it is. I think my main thing is that I'm still of the opinion that Peter Pan is at its worst when it's in a live action movie setting. I think there's something to the material that benefits from having a level of suspension of disbelief, whether it's on stage or in an animated film. And
Yeah.
like I've said before, when the previous two live shows, I think the magic is kind of squashed when it's too realistic. Like the flying to me didn't really work as well because even though like they took out the wires, you could just so clearly see gravity working against him when he starts to take off, and like he has that little bit of a boom
Yeah.
launch, and I'm just like, it's not, the magic's not there. Yeah, but how does everyone else feel just about seeing this as a full straight live action adaptation of the material? Because I assume a lot of us know it mostly from the animated film, which, like I said, I think the animation blends so beautifully with the story, and that's why I think that's one of the big strengths of the Disney film. But yeah, how does everyone feel about Peter Pan in a live action setting?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's always been hard, even with like an adaptation like Hook, which I really enjoy. It's always hard for me to look at Neverland in a live action setting and think that's a place I'd want to go to. Like I think it's like horrific, you know, a horrific place, which probably works for Kristen, but I you know, I want, I don't know, I just, it's too much, and I agree with the flying. The flying, I think if anything, really bothered me was the way that they did the flying, and I thought, well, okay, I mean, it's going to be better nowadays, but at that time, and watching it again, it's like when he would fly against the wall, like to react to her. It's like, my God, you're like flying so fast and it doesn't even look natural. And that's the thing that I love about the Disney version is when I watch it. Like there's one where he goes around and it's almost like he's skating on air around Smee. And I just thought that's so beautiful to watch, as opposed to what we were seeing in this film. So yeah, I could say it's Neverland has always been hard for me to see in live action, and maybe that's because in animation, Mary Blair, you know, she contributed such amazing design and color and thought to that I've never seen in a live action.
Yeah, for sure. Like what really throws me about this movie, and it's such a weird specific thing that probably only bothers me, but when they're flying and we see all the planets and it just looks like something out of a grade 4 science textbook. I don't know, something about that is just like that's not it. I don't know why, but that's not it.
Yeah.
I might jump in with a little counterpoint to this, if
Okay.
I may. Objection. Okay. I hear you. Compared to other live action adaptations, and the ones that I can think of, I watched Pan once. Did not really respond to it. Hook, of course, is a classic, but it's one that like I don't have the same nostalgia value as other people I know with it. And the series Neverland, which I did really like. However,
Neverland, yeah.
I did too, but that was decidedly a dark reimagining, or like a gritty real reimagining of Neverland. And while I think it did that well, I do like that this didn't try to do that. I think it was trying to be fantastical and colorful and not necessarily cartoonish, but I really like the planets and the space thing. I don't know actually if I did when I was a kid, but watching it now, I thought like, or the cotton candy clouds and the fact that they can sit in the clouds, you know, it's not supposed, I guess because I'm like, obviously none of it is real
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
realistic. Why not go all the way? And why not take it to that, that level? The themes, the darkest themes in it are the emotional ones. And I suppose I like that about the aesthetic and the fantasy element.
Mhm.
Just as a little counterpoint.
Oh no, for
Yeah.
sure. And I even despite the fact that I just said the planets annoy me, everything else that you just described, like the treatment of the clouds, the treatment of Neverland, like I do like that as a directorial choice. And I feel like this movie has a very successful vision overall. Like it feels like a movie where the director, is it PJ Hogan? Is it the guy who did Crocodile Dundee? Is he the guy who directed this? I
No,
think it is. No,
I don't think it is, but maybe it is. I don't know.
I
Paul
hope it's
Hogan
not.
is Crocodile. No,
I feel
no.
okay, Lauren, you research it. You research
If
it.
only we did. If only we had something that could tell us.
I know, right? Technology, crazy
Yeah.
thing. No, like I feel like the movie has a really good, clear vision, which is one of the things I really do respect about it. Like it feels like everyone is acting in the same film, minus Jeremy Sumpter, but that is what that is, and that's a thing that I just very much appreciate, especially with the pirates. Like I didn't expect to like the pirates in this movie as much as I did, and something that I really appreciated was, since it is live action Peter Pan, I think it'd be really easy for Wendy with the pirates to feel creepy in a way that's not intentional. And the scene when like they brought her and she was telling them the story and everything, I was like, you're treating this with so much dignity, like directorial wise, where I feel like I don't feel concerned for Wendy's safety as the only girl on a ship full of pirates. Like you're treating the comedy really well, where like all the actors are just so genuine and listening to her telling the stories. And even though they're pirates with a kid who they want to kidnap, it still feels safe. And I think that's just a very it's just a sign of a very smart director who I felt knew what he was doing. And it got kind of creepy with Hook, but in a way that I felt was intentional and controlled, and in a way where I didn't feel concerned for the actress as an actor on a set. So like just in terms of all of that, I do think it's a very well-directed film in that respect. But yeah, Lisa, Kaylee, how do we feel about live action Peter Pan for the
Okay, before you go to that,
yeah.
he's not Crocodile Dundee.
Okay.
Although he did direct Muriel's Wedding and My Best Friend's Wedding.
Oh,
really?
Mm-hmm.
such different movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
And Confessions of a Shopaholic.
Oh, that was fun. That was a fun movie.
Another classic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Peter Pan being live action, I think I would not want this in the world because I think it's done. Like Peter Pan, gravitation. But if it were to, like, if Hollywood was like, okay, let's just do it because we have the story, I think it could be really cool with today's technology in terms of flying. Because I think of like Marvel movies and I think of how fantastical those movies are and how it still ignites that kind of like kid excitement within me watching it now.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it could be an interesting choice in 2022. The movie itself in 2003, it has that like early millennial feeling. And maybe that's why I like dislike the stylizedness of it so much. Like I agree with you, Matt. I don't like the planets. Maybe I would have as a kid, and maybe I would have carried that nostalgia into adulthood. But like, I don't know. I wanted. I think I went into it being like, oh, it's okay. It's a live action movie, and it's going to be fantastical. It's going to be like the superhero movies that we see coming out of Marvel now. Obviously, I was going into it wrong because it's 2003.
Mm-hmm.
I do think I think in that regards, it's a stylistic and aesthetic like choice and view that I was just like, I really don't like these cotton candy clouds. This like rush into Neverland through like the light was off for me. I loved the crocodile. The crocodile was an amazing animation. I wanted more crocodile. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm very much into what the animation, the Disney animation had in terms of making it fantastical and making it like this other world and anything can happen. It's like what you were saying, Lauren, with the flying and that gliding moments. It's
Mhm.
and just gorgeous and graceful. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the live action. Specifically this, I think it was just a matter of like me not like jiving with the style. So
Yeah, fair. And I mean, we're gonna get to see how Disney does it in like a year. So
no.
Yeah.
yeah, Peter and Wendy, it's wrapped actually. They're all done. So it's been shot.
Who's
Mhm.
in
I don't think it's anybody famous. They're all, well, the kids are definitely not anyone famous. Actually, I want to see who Hook is now. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to be moderating. Lauren, can you look up who's in the new Disney cast?
Yes.
Kaylee, what are your thoughts about Peter Pan through a live action lens?
Well, like I said, I still have not seen the animated again because I was so terrified as a kid for some strange reason. Like the Peter Pan just creeped me out as a kid. So I haven't gone back. I do want to try again because I'm sure I'll like it. But I really I get like Lauren was saying, like I like animated style because you can make it so fantastical and it be just like awesome versus like live action where it's hard to make it realistic, you know? But I still like live action movies, and like now with it being 2022, like Lisa was saying, I do think that there is a lot more potential. And hopefully they'll take it. I mean, I think, you know, Jeremy Sumter wasn't the best actor, but I also feel like, you know, his Pan was a way to go, a direction, but maybe this new one will be a little bit more like a slightly Pan, you know, like the one where it had a little more emotional depth. And that's what I would like to see. I love to see characters with a little more depth, maybe. But I think that I like to see like actual actors too. So I do like live actions for that.
Yeah, and I think the live action treatment has potential, and maybe I'll change my mind once I see how they do it now, since flying is a lot more common in movies, and hopefully they've kind of figured it out to make it look a little less rigid. But we'll see. We'll see. Let's jump into the comments over here. Vincent says, I'd love to see Daniel Day-Lewis's method acting behind the scenes as Pan. I think that would be terrifying, but I'd be here for it. I'm actually excited for Peter and Wendy, the first major role for Mia. Oh, how do I say her name? Mia
Jovovich.
Is she playing Wendy? Is that who that person?
her daughter.
Her daughter is?
Ever Gabo Anderson.
Sure.
Let me see.
Like I'm very interested to see how Disney does their live action Peter Pan, because there have been so many live action Peter Pans in some incarnation over the past couple of years, or at least since this movie was made, but Disney hasn't done one yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like I said in my Tiger Lily video, it's their chance to start to maybe do it right.
Yeah.
I don't think they will, but we'll see.
So Jude Law is playing Captain Hook.
Nice.
Jim Gaffigan is Smee.
Nice.
It's actually now.
Who's Mr. Darling? They didn't double cast Mr. Darling as the same guy, which makes me sad. But is it Alan Tudyk or the other guy?
Yeah, well, it's weird. It says Alan Tudyk and Jude Law are Captain Hook, but that can't be right. One of them has to be.
No, I think Jude Law's Hook and Alan Tudyk is Mr. Darling.
Alan Tudyk is doing the voice.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
So just Jude Law, like
he's every voice.
I was like, I wouldn't doubt it.
No, he's every voice.
Yeah, he's every voice in Disney now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Oh, we got some new friends. Server Girl is here. Lauren, Server Girl says hello to you specifically.
Oh, hi, Shuri. How are you?
There it is. All right. So how do we feel about the choice, like, to not have the same actor playing Mr. Darling and Captain Hook for this remake? Because that's a choice. That's a bold choice, because that's such a embedded Peter Pan tradition.
I kind of like, I'm interested in it, but I am so taken with the connection of Hook and Mr. Darling, because even though like they don't animate Mr. Darling and Hook the same way in the Disney version, they still have the same coloring, like the black hair and the fair skin. And it's so, I don't know, there's something very satisfying about it. And that's why I really enjoyed this 2003 version, because it like really tested the actor's ability. And like Isaac's completely did like the opposite spectrum for these roles, and he really did an amazing job, and I want to see more of his roles now, and like aside from Harry Potter in this, because he was so good. But I think it'll be an interesting opportunity, and I'm excited to see Jude Law do something cool.
Yeah, no, I think
Jude Law
Law's
is Captain Hook, and Alan Tudyk is Mr. Darling.
Cool.
Yeah, like I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like making that choice just says something about whatever their interpretation is of Neverland, because I think the choice to double cast them sometimes has the implication that the kids are dreaming it, which I've spoken about. I don't like that interpretation. I want my Neverland to be real. Damn it. Ruins the point if it's not. But
be like a parallel universe.
Oh yeah, it could be the multiverse of Pan.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I can get on board with that. So yeah, I guess kind of discussing the adults. This movie did something really interesting where they added an extra one for some reason. How do we like Aunt Millicent, the Redgrave sister who always stands in the shadow of the other one? How do we like that? Yeah. How do we like her character? Do we think she added anything? Do we think she took anything away? I don't know why she's there. Personally, I almost feel like it's because they wrote Mr. Darling to be slightly weaker than he traditionally is portrayed, so they still needed like that strong force to be saying, Wendy, grow up.
Yeah.
Someone to feed into this new interpretation of Mr. Darling. But aside from that, like I've said before, I love the subtext with the parents and Mrs. Darling specifically in Peter Pan, and I think she distracted from it. But she's a good actress, so I didn't mind having her on screen. But yeah, Kaylee, what do you think of Aunt Millicent? Why is she there?
Well, I think she's there to kind of add like the social pressure of like, this is what you are expected to do as a father of a young girl, and this is what she's expected to do, and like kind of just like to tell the audience like this is what the social pressure is, I guess, especially because it's geared towards a younger audience. It's a different age. I feel like that's what they had her in there for, is to be just like an actual representation of that social pressure, maybe so people understood it a little better. But I mean, I feel like she was okay in there. I don't feel like she added a whole lot beyond that. So I mean, I could have had the movie without her, and I would have been okay. Even though she is a great actress, and I do kind of like the scene where she's like the shadow scares her. I mean, I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I did. I like that scene too. I did.
Yeah, so that's funny, But other than that, I mean, she wasn't really super present in the movie. So
yeah, I forgot about the shadow scene. That was cute. That was cuter than I thought it would be, and they made it work. Kristen, what do you think about Aunt Millicent?
Yeah, I agree that I think she's supposed to be the voice of, not high society, but, proper society. However, I think we get a touch of that with Mr. Darling, but the fact that it seems to be very rooted in their ideas of gender, and gender roles, that having Mr. Darling be the voice of she's a woman now would be and sort of strange. And the fact that their mother, the way I love Mrs. Darling in this, by the way, she's
I do.
She's Cinderella in that pink dress. Like, I think she's just stunning, and that dress is like a work of art, and she's just the sweetest lady. Anyway, so you can't have her do it either, because I don't know, the dynamic that the parents have with the kids is so interesting and special, and the fact that an outside voice needs to come in and say she should be doing blank and she has to be separated from her brothers. I sort of see it, at least I think that's what they're going for. And that she is this, I don't know, for some reason, the authority on English ideals of womanhood at the time. I don't know. I don't think it's done that well, to be honest. I think that that's pretty misguided. The whole, there's a way to do all that I don't think they were interested in dealing with. I don't know. Like I said, they dealt with Mr. Darling's psychological pressures and societal pressures way better than hers, and I don't think they're actually that different. But that's looking at it from 20 years from then too. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think she's just kind of part of a bigger picture about they added a lot of stuff in the first chunk. I've spoken before about how the nursery scene in Act 1 in England is always my favorite part, and it's not in this one because they added so much, and I get why they had to, because it's an adaptation, it's live action, whatever. You have to up the stakes, and I guess it was mostly successful, but at the same time, it felt kind of almost misguided to have the whole thing with Wendy at school and then having the letter and then the chaos in the bank. What did you like it?
You would have loved that, given the Turning Red parallels. I don't know, the doodle of the boy in the bedroom, and I was honestly rewatching it. I was like, that you're starting to deal with the Wendy thing that I think you're trying to say, but they don't actually go there, whereas Turning Red goes there.
Yeah,
right.
I totally thought the same thing when I was watching it. I'm like, Turning Red.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. That's so true. It is
no, it is
exactly that.
This movie flew so that Turning Red could soar.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it, but Turning Red. But I did want to say real quick about that scene and I'm probably the only person that feels this way. I don't know why. It kind of irked me rewatching it. Which as a kid, I was always cringy about that. I always hate watching scenes like that as a kid because I'm like, oh, her running into the bank and everything. But I was also I paused it on the part where she's writing the letter and all it's asking for is a meeting. And I'm like, you're doing all of this because of a meeting? I'm like, she's gonna get the meeting eventually anyways, I'm sure. She knows where he works. I'm like, somehow she could just walk to the bank if the letter doesn't get there. So I thought that was a bit dramatic, and I mean I get they had to have it happen, but I don't know why. That was one of the things I was like, as an adult, I was kind of annoyed that was, I mean it might have been in the book too, I don't know, but
it's not.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, this is so dramatic.
Oh, I like how seriously the telegram boy takes his job. I really know. I think he was hilarious.
He looks at her yeah, I'm gonna ruin your life today.
But desperately needs to get the telegram to Mr. Darling. He's a underrated gem in this movie.
He really is though. I like that part.
He had one job. He was dedicated. I wonder if that was a rejected Lost Boy. I mean, practically speaking, if it's a kid who auditioned for a Lost Boy, they were like, you don't make the cut, but we like you. You can deliver the telegram.
We're gonna write your part. It's gonna be a great part.
So committed to the role now. Love it.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's the only one that kept acting afterwards, because not many of them did. Slightly should have. I'm slightly angry that he didn't, because again, he's my favorite kid in this movie.
Slightly angry.
Right? I did it. We're missing stuff in the comments. Jude Law can creep me out. His face is intense. I'm sure he will be an intense hook.
Yeah.
I always confuse him with Ewan McGregor, which I know makes no sense, but I do. I know they're different people, but in my mind, they're not. So that's where that goes. Okay. Sorry I'm late. Asked for a bath and I was Aubrey, you made it. We're happy to have you. We're talking about live action Peter Pan. I'm sure you knew that. Okay. And sorry. Lauren's shirt is also a massive spoiler for Turning Red. So I recommend you see the movie. It's on Disney Plus. It's free on Disney Plus. I mean, it shouldn't be, because people should have given the studio the money that movie deserved, but take what we can get and just give Dami Shi all the love, because she deserves it. So we've kind of veered into this, but let's just talk about this movie's portrayal of Wendy specifically, because we've kind of touched on it, but just how do we feel about both the actor as well as how the script portrayed her as a character? The actor, as I said, I think she's probably my favorite Wendy, even though I do love the one who was in the musical 2 weeks ago, but this is the first time I feel like I've seen Wendy portrayed as a kid in the purest sense. Like, she just has so much fun playing, especially with the medicine scene when she's like, we're going to give them medicine. And then you could just see her making this up on the spot, having so much fun. And I don't think you very often get to see Wendy having fun in Peter Pan adaptations, because they always put her into the role of like be the mother, and then she plays house almost too well, where she becomes like the responsible one. So just really nice for me and refreshing to see such an important character, because like it is Wendy's story full out, like it's Wendy's coming of age story. At least that's how I read into it, and I think that's kind of what the intention is in the original. And I don't know, like it was nice to see that side of her, and then it gave more meaning, I feel, to the scenes when she was like, I want to grow up and I want to feel adult things like love. Like, can't you go on this journey with me, Peter? I just think it gave more oomph to that. And I just think she's a naturally very good actor. Like, the casting there was incredible. But yeah, how do we feel about Wendy, actor as well as portrayal in this film? Let's start with Lauren.
All right. Well, I thought last night I hated her, but there was just something weird about her. I don't know what it was, but when I woke up and watched it again, I actually did like her a lot better. I thought that, whereas, you know, we got a lot of kind of face-licking acting from Jeremy Sumter, I feel like she had more. Like, I like the fact that she, like you said, she was a kid, but a kid on the cusp of adulthood, and I like she was able to convey this kind of like she had feelings for Peter Pan, and you could see that she had a different feeling than Peter Pan did for her. That's why I wish that he would have toned it down a little bit. You know, because I felt like he was too sexual. I just thought he was too sexual, as opposed to where it works for her because she's a girl on the cusp of adulthood in the regular world, and so she's starting to think about boys and things like that, and whereas he's just a kid that's, you know, and I think that's what kind of threw me off in this movie was his acting against her acting, but I think that she was very good.
Nice. Kaylee, what do you think? I know you said that you hated her as a kid.
Yeah, 6-year-old me would be very shocked that I am saying right now that I actually really, really like her. And I was pleasantly surprised, because I went into the movie. The last thought I still had was, ugh. Like, that was the last thought in my brain that I had of the movie. So whenever I watched it last, I was probably 12 or 13 the last time I saw it. That was my last thought. But rewatching it, like, pretty much from the beginning, like, early on, I did have very different thoughts about it. And I felt like she had a really solid performance. I really enjoyed her character, and she acted it really well. So I enjoyed her, and kudos to her. She deserved it. I would have not been that good of a Wendy, you know. So she definitely deserved it more than me, even though 6-year-old me would definitely disagree. I just couldn't see it as a kid. I was like, why did they pick her to be Wendy? And I should have been asking, why did they pick him to be Peter Pan, other than the fact he was cute? I don't know. But 6-year-old me, I mean, they hit their target audience with me, okay?
That's the vibe I get. I think this movie means a lot to people who were in that target demographic.
Yeah.
Like, just people I've spoken to, friends I have. Like, one of my friends, I mentioned that I was doing this tonight, then he said that all of his sisters just love this movie on a totally different level, and they all fall between that age bracket as well. So I do think that this is a movie where the nostalgia factor can kind of make or break it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's also why I'm kind of just indifferent to it in a way that I don't fully understand, where I'm like, I get that it's a decent movie, but also it doesn't make me feel any emotions the way that other Peter Pan adaptations have. So who knows what that disconnect is. But yeah, Lisa, what do you think of Wendy in this movie?
When I first, like, that first shot of her and like she was playing with her brothers, I don't know why my first thought was like, oh God, I'm not gonna like this Wendy. And I think it's because the way, like, just how like she looks like a very beautiful, mature young kid, right? Like, and so I thought she was going to play like that mothering role, and she wasn't going to have any like feistiness to her, which is like the Wendy thing that I love. And that's what she brought, though. Like, that's exactly what she brought. And I think she was such a strong actor, especially with all the adults that she was, co-acting with. And she really held it up with, the scenes with her brothers and with Peter and with the Lost Boys. I will say, like, I think besides her and Peter being creepy, what I thought was even creepier was the aunt. Like, the scenes with the aunt made me uncomfortable because, like, I would be very concerned if, like, I saw a kid being addressed to by an adult the way that she was, like the whole like chin and the lips. It was weird. And I get that, like, part of, they were trying to like implement like this society figure to talk about society. But maybe it's also because, like, knowing that society now as an adult, I didn't need that character.
Yeah.
But maybe as a child, if I were to watch it, I needed that knowledge. Yeah, that was the most creepy part for me, and I got really uncomfortable watching it. But I think the actress did such an amazing job. I think I haven't seen her in anything else, but
She hasn't done a ton, and I would tell you what she has done, but that'll spoil the game.
oh, okay, fine, that's totally fine. But I would love to have seen like a fuller career from her, because I think what a there was a maturity about her. Even though she played like such a great kid, she brought this intelligence to the role that I think it usually is missed when Wendy's are cast. So
Oh, for sure. No, I think Wendy's such a fascinating character, but at the same time, she's usually played very one note. Again, like, she's pigeonholed into be the mom. And then at the end, she's like, well, game's over, kids, let's go. And then that's kind of what Wendy's character arc is. But there's just so much nuance to this Wendy that I love. Like, and I think she elevates the performances of everyone that she's acting opposite of, or at least she like meets it. Like the scene with her and Jason Isaac when they kidnap her, and then she talks about how she always dreamed of being a pirate called Red-Handed Jill. I'm like, there's just something so endearing about that scene.
Yeah, I like that.
Even just, I'm not sure how much of it was her intentionally acting or if it was the direction, but there's something so pure about it when she's like, I always dreamed of being called Red-Handed Jill, and just like that. I can't describe it. There's just something so good about it, and like that's the massive difference to me between her. And I hate that I'm hating on a child's acting, but he's an adult now, so here it is. Like, I think the quality of performance we're getting from her makes it that much more evident that Jeremy is not that good. And I just imagine
it's Wendy's story. So
yeah. Well, for sure. And like that's like Wendy's my favorite character. I think she did such a solid job. It just makes me think, like, if she was acting opposite that slightly kid, this movie could have been amazing. But
yeah.
Kristen, what do you think of Wendy and Rachel?
I think she did a great job. I agree with Kaylee. When I first saw it, I was like, I should be Wendy, but I did that with everybody. Like, so that aside, I think she did an excellent job. And I like this adaptation, this version of her. I think, like I said, there are some things that were begun and not carried through fully, or I wasn't sure to what point. Something that struck me on this watch is a while back, I did research into, it was something specifically to do with video games, but I looked at research into play and games and how children are raised with games. And typically, I think we're breaking down a lot of these concepts now, but what used to be considered girl games or boy games with boy games, it was a lot of creation or destruction. You're either building or you're tearing down. And with girl games, they're more oriented around storytelling, like playing house or playing Barbies. Like you've got characters and you're making them interact and you're telling a story. So something I didn't catch when I was a kid watching this was the identification of Wendy as a storyteller primarily, before even like the mother thing. Like the mother role is put on her by the boys, and the wife role, or the grown woman role, proper woman, is placed on her by Aunt Millicent. But I think her favorite role, at least, or the one that we get to see her enjoy the most, is a storyteller, and that is her play, her way of playing and being a child, but also the thing that like the pirates want her for. And if we go with the labyrinth, the Jim Henson's labyrinth mentality, which is like the pirate ship represents adults and the world that you could go to, right? Just like the party in the crystal ball in Labyrinth is represents adulthood, and the Lost Boys in the treehouse represents where you might want to stay. And she has to choose between these two dynamics. And the fact that the pirates want her for her storytelling and are giving her an opportunity to be primarily like, we want you to come and be the ship storyteller and to play pirates, is an interesting thing. I don't know if they consciously were making a statement about that's kind of what I mean is I don't know if they fully had a plan with that, but watching it now, I'm sitting there like, okay, so she's good, you know,
That is fascinating.
a storyteller.
Yeah.
And you know, I guess the ending and the way they take her, unfortunately, seems to go with, you know, she's just resigned to, I have to grow up and I have to have a husband and a family, which, you know, again, 20 years later after watching, I'm like, you don't have to, but like, if you want to. I would have loved if they had taken it to that this is what she wants to be. She wants to, as a storyteller myself, I was like, that would be a really cool version of the ending, is that's her version of Neverland, or not growing up, is doing the thing that she loves. And that you can play forever. But they did sort of make it a choice. You know, you leave the nursery, you leave behind storytelling and play. I don't know.
I feel like they kind of layered that in, though.
Yeah.
Wendy being the narrator of the movie.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
adult. So it is almost like, and again, I feel like none of this is linked and intentional, but it's a really cool reading that I believe absolutely works, because like the entire movie is, and I wouldn't know that it was meant to be adult Wendy narrating if I didn't watch movies with closed captions on, and like it just says adult Wendy. But
or the deleted scenes. I think there's a deleted scene with grown up Wendy. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it does
There is
exist,
one.
except I don't think it establishes that she's been telling the story, like that it's the same.
Isn't it? Is it Saffron Burrows playing Wendy?
Maybe.
I went to check,
I'm not
but
sure
I don't
who
want to
that
take
is.
that.
Oh, no.
She's a great English actress. I think that I think it might have been. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh no, well actually that segues into, I wanted to ask about how we feel about how this movie ended, because we know that they did shoot the scene where Peter comes back and he meets grown-up Wendy and then like takes the kid, because like that exists, and that's a quality to the story that I personally really like. Like it's one of my favorite parts of the musical and the stage play. And weirdly enough, I didn't miss it in this adaptation, even though it's a scene that I personally really like on paper. I felt like this wrapped up quite nicely. But yeah, what are our thoughts on, did we need to see grown-up Wendy at the end?
No. I'm so okay with not seeing grown-up Wendy. I think that like adds like a Tuck Everlasting kind of twist to it, if you know that movie and that story. Where I don't think it's necessary. And even if you don't know that it's grown-up Wendy narrating, to have it as this narrator, woman storyteller telling the story about Peter Pan, I think is enough. It captures this creation, this imagination like very well. I mean, I like to think that Wendy grows up to be a storyteller, and she doesn't get married, and she's just traveling the world and being awesome creator. So in that mindset of like me thinking about that, I like the way that they ended it. But I found that the whole ending was just so long, the way that it was edited with the kids coming back and Mrs. Darling looking out and not realizing that they're there, and then the same thing with Mr. Darling. I felt it was just elongated for no reason, and I wish it got to Wendy's narration lines sooner.
Yeah, they tried to do a lot in a very short amount of time, which
Aunt Millicent being slightly his mother was outrageous to me. Outrageous. I'm just
I thought it was sweet, but I was like, that does not seem like an Aunt Millicent thing.
Like, first of all, you
brainwashed
a huge thing about Aunt Millicent that she, you know, especially given that she's the voice of proper society in that time in England, you're like, so she has got a really complicated past then, and I'm fascinated. Why isn't this should be the story? Like,
it doesn't make any sense. Like, slightly is like, oh, I don't have a mom. But clearly Mrs. Darling is ready to adopt all of these kids. So I'm like, totally, just go over. Like, Mrs. Darling will take you in.
Why do you assume you're excluded from this?
Like, it was a very strange, like, writing.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah, it was like none of them have moms. Slightly, that's the point. It's adoption.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. I was like, what? But I think that they did it just to make it cutesy and like
wrap up the Aunt's storyline.
Yeah, no, like I think it was just shoehorned in to give some closure to Aunt Millicent because they made the choice to put her in the movie. They had to redeem her somehow, and the easiest way was to brainwash her with fairy dust.
Mm-hmm.
God, what a Deus Ex Machina thing to do.
Yep. It's very Midsummer as well. It's doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't count if it's forced on you with magic.
It doesn't count if gods force your hand.
Wait. Although, that kind of leads me into another thing I wanted to talk about with this movie is how did we like Tinkerbell? Because this is the first time we've really had a live action Tinkerbell. Well, I guess we had Julia Roberts, but like that, it's a very different treatment because this was more of a classic Tink in that she didn't really talk, but we had the ability to just see her in a way we never had before, just since it did have the merit of it being a live action film. And I personally really loved the theatricality to her. Like, I'm not sure if this actual woman is a physical theater artist or a mime, but I kind of got that vibe. All the stuff that she was doing, there was like this beautiful, fun theatricality to it with all of her expressions and her physicality that I personally really liked for Tinkerbell. Yeah. How do we like her?
I didn't really this is awful. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I dislike this movie so much, but I thought Tinkerbell was forgettable because she was the same type of Tinkerbell as the Disney version, which I don't like, of like this like man or boy crazed little thing and women hating type of fairy that I was like, I wish they kind of developed her more. I did really like the physical comedy and it was so cool to see all that glitter, but the way that she is written and directed, I'm like, they're doing the same thing. I want Tink to, you know, kind of be maybe like a nicer kind of trickster. So yeah, no,
and I think that roots back to just how Tink is written in the original.
Yeah.
She's definitely a character who can be and should be reimagined in some way. And I mean, it's kind of like similar conversation to what we had with the Indigenous characters last week about how it's all in the hands of the people that are actually telling the story as opposed to the people that have to inhabit the characters. But I read this really fun quote from the life model that they like animated Tinkerbell after for the Disney film. And then she said something about how in her mind, Tinkerbell doesn't actually care about Peter. Like, she's not into him. She doesn't want him. She only wants, like, the reason she's jealous of Wendy is because she likes the adventures. She likes going on the fun trips with Peter, and she's worried that Wendy might replace her. And that's the reason for the jealousy. It's not fueled by like woman hating or boy craziness. It's just like, I like having fun. This is an obstacle. Ergo, I have to kill her.
I wonder like how that distinction can be captured because I don't get that from either of the.
Oh no, definitely.
Yeah.
No,
So,
and it's just so interesting that like it's so telling. Again, I think the importance of the people who are in charge of telling the stories, because they're the ones who have final say over what we see. Even though going back to like 1952, that was a perspective that Tinkerbell herself had like 70-ish years ago.
yeah.
And yeah, so who knows? Maybe Disney will do it right for the next one. There's so
Yeah.
much riding on this new movie for them.
That's so much
I
pressure.
know.
Yeah, Kristen, how do you like live action Tinkerbell? Oh, you're muted.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? I was just checking something with my microphone.
Oh, it's okay. I just want, what are your thoughts on Tinkerbell in this movie? Just to have that role portrayed by a live actress.
I like it. For some reason, I didn't like her very much when I was a kid. Maybe I was jealous of Tinkerbell, which is ironic. I don't know. I don't remember. I like the actress. I know I've seen her in something else. And I liked watching her process or stuff about how she did it. And watching it back now, I think like, yeah, it might look a little bit silly compared to what we're used to seeing now, but I like it. I like her performance. I think it's fun and over the top and clownish, and she gives it 110%. The part that I clocked this time was that she flirts with that weird, horrible parrot, and I thought it was funny.
Oh my God, that parrot though. What?
Yeah, I don't know what purpose
Yeah,
parrots
that
serve.
was weird.
I love the parrot. I think that's my favorite part of the movie, the parrot.
Well, apparently so did Tinkerbell. I just remember when she's trying to like lure him into the lamp and she does like a little shimmy. I'm like, what is happening?
Why are you flirting with the parrot?
What's going on?
Oh my God. Although I really liked the Tinkerbell death scene in this movie.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I
I thought that
like, and I think that would have been probably the hardest thing to adapt into a live action setting, because it's just such a theatrical thing. Again, going back to, I think Peter Pan is best when it's a play, but like that's the moment when the fourth wall is down and Pan is like, clap if you believe in fairies. And when the scene started, I even remember 17-year-old me sitting in the theater thinking, they're not going to make this work. And then somehow it does, or I thought it worked. I like it. And it's
I
so
agree.
cheesy, but for whatever reason, I just think it hits the notes right where it's cheesiness that works. Like it's just so earnest, and the music I think is so powerful, like to bring back the flying theme and to have it build. And even though I don't care for what Jeremy is doing, just the power of having everyone in unison say I believe in fairies, and like seeing how that hope infuses all the people, like even in England, like the mom's asleep and Mr. Darling and the aunt in the bathtub. And I was curious, I went back and read that chapter of the book today to see how it's described in the book, because I knew like the book's not going to ask the reader to clap, and it's only one or two sentences, but it says something about how Peter said, I do believe in fairies, and then he just sent out an energy that like everyone in the world suddenly felt. And I was like, oh, that's what the movie did. And I thought it worked. But how did everyone else feel about the Tink reviving?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it. I was wondering how they were going to do it, and then I like the fact that it started with Peter, but then it went to Wendy, and then she got the Lost Boys, and they were just sending out that energy. I really like the way that they did that whole thing. And as for Tinkerbell herself, I think she was basically Disney's Tinkerbell, but just in live action. I agree with you about the strong physicality in her acting. I get what Lisa's saying about how she is a character that is has this jealousy and rage towards Wendy that nowadays we don't encourage or want, but it's from the story. I mean, the story basically, she has to betray Peter Pan in some way for him to banish her, and for her to kind of side with Captain Hook and then eventually either take the bomb or drink the medicine or whatever it is. That's basically her role in the film. And so I got it. I got that's what she had to do, and that's who she is. But she was basically, to me, she was basically Disney's live action version of their animated.
Yeah, almost to the point where I feel like Disney could have a claim in court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Like,
For the death scene, if maybe it's because I don't know the original text that well, but when they did go in shots of like all the kids in England and then Mrs. Darling, there was a disconnect that I was like, this is weird. Like they're going back into like real world, and then they're coming like I don't know. I found like there was a break that didn't make sense to me. But knowing what the original text says, that he sent out the energy, it makes more sense. But while watching, I was like, why are we seeing all these random kids in their beds sleep talking?
totally. And actually, that, like, not through that scene, but I get that same disconnect in the scene when Peter goes back and closes the window.
Yeah.
Not because of Mrs. Darling, but because we see Mr. Darling again. And I think that kind of kills the illusion of having the same actor, because I'm like, if you make that choice, we shouldn't see Mr. Darling again until Captain Hook is gone.
Yes.
For good.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but
there was a lot
of made some choices.
Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth to London and then to Neverland.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Used to it.
Oh, tell us why. Give us the counterpoint.
I mean, I don't really have like I know that logically I can't explain why. Well, so, it makes sense if you think of it as a blank or a metaphor for blank. Like, I don't think there's logic in any of it. But that being said, I do believe in fairies moment. I love that we see Mr. and Mrs. Darling and Aunt Millicent. Every single character. I don't know if we've seen, I guess we don't see his boss say it, but he says it at a board meeting, and I love it. And I think that the notion that, like, and that the pirates do it too, that deep down there is a little part of every person that wants to believe in fairies, even if they don't, or wants to get back to the place where you do believe in fairies. And I think that that's the core of Peter Pan, right? Is like, I think that's the heart of it, and why it's stuck with us for so long is because we were all kids once, and there is a part of us that can, or maybe wants to return to that, or have that same kind of belief in magic. And and for me, the fact that it made no sense kind of plays into that, because I'm a big fan of suspension of disbelief, at least when it's merited. And I think if we're not going to suspend our disbelief for Peter Pan, I don't know what we're going to do it for. Yeah.
Fair. Well said. Kaylee, what do you think? Tinkerbell, the medicine, the death, all of it.
Well, first off, I'm pretty sure that I feel like I remember the very first time I watched this movie and seeing that scene, and I'm pretty sure I did cry. A little 6-year-old me was very like, I remember just,
I cried today watching.
Well, I'm sorry, but no, I remember like the whole, like, them being on the ship and then leaving Peter, and I'm like the biggest romantic. I'm like, no, they're going away, and then like her dying, and it was so sad. I remember crying, and like, but then the music, and you feel it, and that whole scene. I know like y'all are all like, oh, that was not a well acted scene by Jeremy, but I honestly, I don't know. I felt like it was okay. I kind of, I think some of that's still nostalgia, because that was one of my favorite scenes growing up. But Tinkerbell overall, I remember they had a not a credit, but like a featurette on the DVD that was talking about Tinkerbell, and that they were originally going to do it like CGI or whatever. Like, they were not going to have an actual actress, and then they found this actress that plays her, who is a French actress, and they loved her because she was just so good at showing emotions. and without saying anything. So they really liked her, and that's why they changed their mind and had her in that role. So I would say over having it animated, I definitely like that they chose to have an actual actress. So I think that was a good choice, and I think she did a good job. I didn't particularly care for the character, and for the same reason Lisa and Lauren said, honestly, you know, I feel like she was pretty much the same as the Disney one from what I remember. And I mean, I didn't like Wendy growing up, but like I thought she was nasty, and I didn't like her either. So I was
wish death on Wendy, like like that's the question here.
No, I didn't like, you know, I didn't want like Wendy to like get shot down like a bird or anything. Like it wasn't that deep. Okay. You know, I was more like, oh, you know, she's still my man, you know, but I still thought like Tinkerbell went too far. Into it, but
Too far.
Yeah, I actually have to head out too, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh
Matt.
no!
Thank you, Kaylee.
I know. I'm
Bye,
so sad I
Kaylee.
missed trivia. It was a fun one. I'm not going to share, but I will text it to Matt because I don't want to spoil anything about the trivia that you're going to do. But there's a fun little fact I learned. I'll share it after the live's over.
Okay,
But
exciting.
thank you for having me, guys. Y'all
Thank
have a
you,
good night.
Hi, Kaylee.
Brilliant. All right, let's just quickly jump into the comments. Yes, I forgot to say yes, Mary. All British people look the same to me. Actually, just those two guys.
It's okay. It's not a joke. It's true.
It's true. I've had the same problem with Cameron Diaz and Gwyneth Paltrow in the past.
I see that. I
Yeah.
see that.
What we got here? Mary's on Team Wendy. Her whole character made sense. She was great. I wanted to be this Wendy when I saw this one back in the day. Yes, justice for Rachel Wendy. Love her. And yes, Red-Handed Jill is the most badass pirate name. I would take that second.
Red-Handed Jill.
Love it. All right, so let's play the game. So
Yay!
I need to get my scorecard.
Are we doing multiple choice or?
You have to have a different answer for each one.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was hard to come up with a game for this movie, but do my best. So I'm reviving. We've played this before. Actually, I think only Lauren has played this before with me, but
Okay.
yeah, here we go. So it doesn't have a cute little name. It probably should, but it doesn't. How it's going to work is I am going to name a movie or a TV show, and you have to tell me which cast member from this film was also in that movie or TV show. And you don't have to say the actor name. You could say the character name because it'd be too hard otherwise. Yeah.
Do you want us to rate things? Sorry, to rate.
Yeah.
Things
So like
down?
if it's another thing that Jeremy Sumpter did, then you would just write down Peter Pan, and then that's your answer.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And like this was just inspired by the fact that aside from a handful of the adults, most of these people didn't go on to do very prolific things. So I kind of scraped the bottom of their IMDb barrel, and there we go. Some of the answers will be repeated. So if you answer an actor once or a character once, that doesn't rule them out for subsequent. Because again, like literally, some of these Lost Boys did no other movies in their lives, which was an absolute shame. #slightly. And also, Wendy's brothers didn't do any other movies either. Oh, I'm giving away answers or not answers. Never mind. I'm done. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. Which actor from this movie or character was also in Friday Night Lights?
Oh my God.
Which person in this movie was also in Friday Night Lights?
I don't know. I don't see Friday Night Lights.
This is gonna be a shot in the dark.
Yeah, mine is too.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Show us your answers. That's me, Wendy. One of you got it. It's Kristen Zaza.
Because he's the only American, right?
Yeah.
What did you say? I didn't see.
Oh, Jeremy Sumpter.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done a couple of other things, but that's the only kind of prolific thing. I'm giving away answers. Okay, next. The Picture of Dorian Gray. One of these actors was in a film adaptation of The Picture of Dorian Gray, an Oscar Wilde classic.
Oh my god. I don't know.
I like
I
that.
know.
Well,
I'm
kinda like
gonna
that one.
fail at this game.
Have you
I'm
seen
just
this movie, Kristen? Is it
I
good?
have that movie. No, I have a lot of DVDs, so that doesn't. It's interesting.
I feel
got
like
its high points.
I have a theory that there's no good adaptation of Dorian Gray. That's my like film adaptation.
Huh.
I get the vibe that
There's got to be some poetry in that.
I feel like they wipe away all the things that make Dorian Gray worthwhile and then just tap into, oh, there's a picture that ages. Let's make it a horror movie. And I'm like, that's not the point.
You didn't think the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen did it right?
Well, I haven't seen that. I want to. It actually looks like an amazing movie. Okay. Oh, let's see the answers. This is not on. That makes me sad. Okay. Aunt Millie. Rachel. Oh, wait. Oh, is your answer Lynn Redgrave, Lauren?
Yeah, Lynn Redgrave.
Okay. Kristen is right again. It's
Ah,
Dang. That's
Wendy. She's
Damn.
presumably the girl.
really good.
somebody had been studying.
My whole life, Lauren.
I should know to like study in advance of these for
I
these
know.
games, but I
So
never
usually when
do.
people, Morgan's here.
Hi, Morgan.
Morgan can attest to this.
Morgan!
When you think you know what the game is going to be, that's when I decide to do something totally random, and then you're wrong. Like
Yeah.
the West Side Story one, where you had to tell me if it was a jet or a shark. I
Yeah.
was like Hammerhead. It's like this has nothing to do with the movie. It's like I know. Or oh no, Fantasia. That was the one that threw everyone because I think everyone thought it was going to be trivia about something to do with the animation. And then I was like, is this a composer or is it pasta?
A cheese.
Oh no, cheese.
Yeah,
It was cheese.
Yeah, that was
That
that one I won. I remember I
Did
won
you
that
win?
one.
That
Yeah.
was one of my. I had so much fun with that. Okay, next, Chamber of Secrets.
Oh,
Oh,
Harry Potter and the. I had to throw you an easy one.
thanks, Matt.
You're welcome. I considered doing multiple Harry Potter movies, but this is the only one. Ready? This is like the free space. 3, 2, 1. Lauren, do you want to double check your work?
oh, sorry. Sorry. I'm totally into Moon Knight.
It's okay. I'll give it to you. There we go. Perfect. All right. The Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense.
The Sixth Sense. It's that movie with Bruce Willis and I See Dead People.
Yeah, I'm like Bruce Willis was not in Peter Pan.
And truth be told, like I'm just going off of this person's IMDb page. I couldn't tell you which character this was, but they're apparently in the movie. So there it is. 3.
No,
Oh, yeah, I'm
Oh,
not
no,
good.
ready? Okay. Let's go back to the chat. Oh yes, that was terrible. I think this is Morgan either discussing the West Side Story trivia or the Fantasia trivia or both.
Okay.
Oh, I really want to see Fantastic Beasts 3.
I know,
have
me
I have
too.
no expectations for it, and the writer is a piece of trash, but the fandom is the fandom, and go Ravenclaw. Okay, let's go. Answers 3,
Go
2, 1.
Hufflepuff.
Slightly, Mrs. Darling, Lynn. Lauren, you got the point. It's Mrs. Darling.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh
Yes.
my god!
Done. Okay. Sherlock Holmes. I'm not going to say which one because there's too many, but
which one? There is too many.
Yeah.
it's okay. It's none of the Robert Downey Jr. ones, and it's not Benedict Cumberbatch. It's legit obscure BBC Sherlock Holmes movie that was made for TV that I doubt
Benedict
anyone
Cumberbatch. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch.
Oh
Penguin.
my god.
Penguin.
Sorry. Okay, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. Redgrave. You're all wrong. It was Wendy again. She did a Sherlock Holmes thing. She the girls worked pretty consistently since then, just not in very big things. It's so funny, like tracking tracking her life and career since this movie up against Jeremy Sumpter's, they very much are their characters. Like, yeah, she's like balanced family and career very well from what I can tell, and been quite successful based on Google appearances for both. Like, she got married, she has 2 kids, she's still acting consistently, like seems like a stand-up responsible girl. And then Jeremy Sumpter is like the definition of man-child right now.
I saw a picture of him with a Saint Bernard, and I was like, "That's real
There
cute."
it is. There it is.
And
Okay.
there it is.
Next, The Young Pope. That show with Jude Law. To bring it back to Jude Law. Jude Law or Ewan McGregor? I'm not
No,
joking.
it's
I think
Jude
it's Jude
Law.
Law. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
one of these.
That's a wild show.
Is it really? I know nothing about it. I think the title
Very much like Game of Thrones, The Tudors-esque.
What?
Kind of. Yeah. I
And
know.
it's about the Pope?
It's like the Vatican meets The Sopranos.
You've caught my attention.
Yes.
Okay. Who shared the screen with future Captain Hook and the young Pope?
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
I know.
3, 2, 1. Jason. Papa Melboy. Smee. It was Tinkerbell. Well, Kristen, I like how you
The Popplewell boy.
I like how you know his last name.
I don't know his first name.
Yeah, I
No,
just
'cause
think of
his
him as
sister-
Anna's brother.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say. I'm assuming he's Anna's brother.
Yep.
Oh,
And
those Popplewells.
only movie he did, and he was really good. Like, I'd be happy to see that kid in more things.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, I would lose that game, Jude Ewan. Same with like Gwyneth or Cameron. Yep, I'm sure there's.
Oh,
others.
there we go. Yeah, there.
If anyone wants to create that trivia for me, I will happily play and lose. Okay, Bob the Builder. One of these people is in Bob the Builder,
Okay. I'm going with
and
the old answer.
I think they might play Bob, but I'm not sure.
Oh, thank you for giving me that hint.
Yes. Well, I said think. I might be wrong. I guess I narrowed it down that it's not a girl, but that just
Yeah.
means it's not Wendy or Millicent. Oh, or Mrs. Darling. No, that was a good hint. You're right. Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, I forgot I have candy within arm's reach.
Lucky.
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
I'm going with this again.
Smee, you got it, Lauren.
Oh, look at it.
Suck at this game.
That's the third time that I've said Smee because I didn't write it again because I'm like, I want to say Smee once again.
Hey, Mickey Bunch. Thanks for joining us. Happy Wednesday indeed.
Mickey Bunch.
Welcome to the game. All right. And yeah, on his IMDb, it says that he plays Robert. I'm assuming that's Bob.
I
Even
guess.
though
Robert.
Robert and Bob the Builder.
Isn't Bob like a child? Or, you know,
Oh, is Bob a child?
No, I think it is an older person.
but
Maybe
if
Robert's
he's-
his father.
Yeah.
Next,
I don't know.
whatever happened to Baby Jane, the TV remake, not the original?
I was like, none of them would have been alive.
Some of them would have been really young. No, there was a really not great TV remake.
I'm
It
sending.
might be a massive hint if you consider what that movie is
that
about and consider who's in this cast.
Yeah.
Think about who had a less exciting career than their sibling.
It's the parrot.
I'm
What a great puppet, though.
Yeah.
Yes, I did like that. It's terrifying.
All right. Does everyone have their answer? Who was in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, the TV remake? Yes, of course. It's Lynn Redgrave and
Yes.
Millicent
2 points strong.
alongside her sister. I didn't realize how little,
cool.
or not little, but when I
But
think of
you
the
are,
Redgraves,
lads. You are.
yeah, couldn't do these awful things to me if I wasn't in this chair. Such a good movie. Oh, I want to find a reason to do
It
it.
is really a good movie.
I want to find a reason to put that into a marathon. I don't know what it would be.
Everybody Davis
Betty Davis marathon. Betty Davis marathon.
Oh my gosh.
I
I
am like
dare.
the #1 Betty Davis fan. I
Really?
know trivia for all those movies. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would. I love Betty Davis too.
Yeah.
What else has she been? I confuse her with Joan Crawford. That's how I go.
Get out of here.
I
Get
know.
off of your own channel.
No,
That's like a whole thing.
I know it is. There was a TV show.
Dare
There was a
you?
feud. There was a feud.
They're both rolling in their graves right now.
Oh, I'm not wearing the shirt.
Yep, John.
Yeah. Okay, next. Oh, okay. No. Spice World.
Oh my god.
Oh my god!
One of these people was in Spice World. I haven't seen Spice World either.
I don't know.
I did actually, and now I can't remember.
Is it like only the Spice Girls in Spice World?
No, there's like other people that they interact with. I remember it was playing on a TV in a department store I was like went to as a kid, and the one scene I know was from like it playing on that TV, and an alien showed up and told Ginger to give him a kiss, and then she did for some reason. That's all I remember.
I love Spice World.
Yeah.
This is a show.
Go Betty Davis. Was
Get
she in
out of
Hocus
here.
Pocus?
No, get out of here, Vincent. That's Bette Midler. He always does this joke, and it's not funny.
He always does this very specific Betty Davis. Bette
Every
Midler
time
joke.
Betty Davis is brought up, he always mentions that she's in Hocus Pocus, and it's not correct. Not
I
even
respect that. Good job.
pronunciation.
That is funny.
Okay. Who's in Spice World? Let's see it. Wendy, Jason Isaac. Who's Bruce Spence?
He's one of the pirates. He's a really
Which
great
pirate?
actor. He's I don't know the pirate's name, but he's the one who goes like, "Goodies always go first." Do you remember that guy? I don't like. He's kind of a goof. He played the mouth of Sauron in Lord of the Rings, and he was in like
That was a person?
yeah. He is in Star Wars. He usually has prosthetics on. He's got quite a interesting.
Oh my
face.
god!
Very tall.
I love that you know that, and now that
I know.
you
I
that.
love that you know that.
I've been looking for a way to get Bruce Spence into this discussion. So I was like, okay, this is my one
This
shot.
is it. You did it. Well, you were close, but no, it was Smee. Smee is
All
in
right.
Spice World.
Oh man.
No.
And the last question of the normal round. One of these actors is in the upcoming season of The Crown. One of these actors is in season 5 of The Crown, playing the slightly older version of a character we've already seen, because that's how The Crown works.
You want to
Yeah,
tell
I
us?
haven't even seen The Crown.
You haven't seen Lauren, it's so good.
I know.
Do you want to tell us which character they're playing?
No.
I don't know. Oh my god.
Although when I give you the answer, maybe I'll give you a bonus point if you can guess who they're playing when I tell you who the person is.
Okay, fine. That's great. I'm okay. Thanks for being so considerate of my terribleness here.
All right. And answers in 3, 2, 1.
I'm going with this again.
Music. Kristen, you got it. It's Olivia Williams, aka Mrs. Darling.
Mrs. Darling?
Yeah.
Mrs. Darling.
So who do we think she's playing in The Crown, season 5? I encourage you to write it down.
Diana. Oh, is that the?
No, write it down. Write it down.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but
So yeah, season 5 of The Crown is taking place in like the 90s. So it's Diana in the revenge dress, that era. It's like the
Is that a
divorce era.
hint? Is that a hint?
Not really, but maybe.
No, well,
The only
I won't
okay,
say.
I feel like just the way that Mrs. Darling looks, there could only be one character.
Ooh, interesting. Who do we
Okay.
think it is? Let's see. 3, 2, 1. Oh, Margaret. Interesting. A princess or something. No, she's Camilla.
oh my god!
Oh,
Camilla.
interesting.
All those reactions.
Well, because that's
No.
the revenge dress technically is a hint because that is
Oh yeah.
that is her because Camilla did try to wear a dress like that.
Did she?
Yeah. And it looked good on her. Like, she
Sure
looked
did.
great. But then I guess Diana did it better. I don't know.
I do like how all these Diana things that we're getting now, for some reason, it's like an onslaught of Diana things now. I feel like they're giving Camilla a bit more dignity than she's been awarded over the past like 20 years, at least by the press.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't envy her. I don't envy her. I don't envy any of them. So, well, actually, minus the money. No, I do still envy them.
Do you want taxpayer money?
No, actually. But big house.
I mean, I want my
big
taxpayer
I
money.
want my taxpayer money too.
Free big house, though. Free big house.
Eh.
Yeah.
I remember the night she died.
Oh, I kind of
So-
do. I was really little, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the adults were sad. That's all I remember. And I had no clue who she was.
Yeah. It was like a bunch of us were just commiserating around the television. It was really. I remember like exactly where I was.
Yeah, no, it was definitely one of those things. It's just so interesting seeing history now kind of being looked at as history when it's a thing that I was alive for. Like, it's weird. I don't know how I feel about it. It's very strange. Okay, so these are the points that we have right now. Kristen has 5. Lauren has 4. Lisa has 2. Now,
Ooh.
for this bonus round, it's going to be similar to last week, where the answer is a number. Whoever gets it closest
Oh my god.
can. Do you want to say double their points? Yeah, let's do that. Whoever comes closest will double their points. And then that's an opportunity for Lisa to tie Lauren, for Lauren to potentially win, or for Kristen to just super win. Okay. So it's a number. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh, I got distracted by the comments. How much in Canadian dollars does Jeremy Sumpter charge for a cameo video?
In Canadian dollars? I don't even know the exchange rate. That's not fair. You are discriminating against Americans.
Yeah, proud of it. I tried to find the rate in American, but Cameo's really good at knowing where you are, and it wouldn't show me the American rate. So how much does Jeremy Sumpter charge a Canadian for a cameo video?
For what?
Say,
What was it again?
For a cameo video. Or do you know? Does
For
anyone
making
not
a
know
cameo?
what cameo is?
I know.
Did you pay it? And is he joining us?
No. Can you imagine? We spent the last 2 hours just like crap.
You were really bad as a child actor.
And then
I always
Everyone-
believed in you, Jeremy.
here's our special guest. Yeah, no. So for anyone who doesn't know, cameo videos, it's this platform where celebrities can set a rate and then you pay it, and then they'll do a personalized video for you, like a shout out or a greeting, and then you say like, "Hey, it's my friend's birthday. Their name is Lauren. Can you give a birthday greeting to Lauren? He didn't like you in this movie." Then Jeremy Sumpter would be like, "Hey, Lauren, it's me, it's Jeremy Sumpter. Sorry you didn't like me in the video, but happy birthday." Some celebrities are really bad at them, and it almost makes me angry that they're getting as much money as they are charging for the quality of video that they're giving people. I'm like, come on. Like, at the very least, hold your phone like this and not like this. Put on clothes. Like what? Although you know who does really good cameo videos is Annalise Vanderpool from That's So Raven.
That's so
Her
great.
cameo videos, like, I'll just watch them to be entertained because like she delivers. She charges a lot, not quite maybe it's around 100 or something, but like she charges a lot. But her videos last like 5 to 10 minutes. People like Tom Felton, who did a lot of them when Cameo first started, he would charge maybe $200, and his videos were maybe 15 seconds, really bad quality, and just him like driving a golf cart saying, "Hey, it's me, happy birthday, go Slytherin, thanks." Then like, you got $200 for that. Like, honor your fans. You're lucky to be in the position you're in where they're willing to pay this much for a video from you. At least make it a good video. Okay, what? Dick Van Dyke does them for $1,000?
He's still alive. He's still alive.
Right? Okay, so here we go. Let's see. What does everyone think? A cameo from Jeremy Sumter is. Let's see the rates in 3, 2, 1. 124, 1,500. Okay, well,
I feel it would be that full of himself.
Lisa is closest. It's $95.
Oh, she tied with me.
95, huh?
He
Tied
could
for
charge
second.
more. Come on, Jeremy. You're worth more than that. Come on, Jeremy.
I don't know.
Wait, how much was it that he got charging?
95 Canadian. I think it's 75 US. Like, that's not what the exchange rate is,
Wow.
but I think it's 75 US and 95 for Canadian.
Interesting.
Oh,
So
God.
there it is. Now, would anyone pay it?
I would not.
Not I.
Oh, he's not currently taking requests, so never mind. We don't get to. Oh, yeah. Okay, it is 75 USD. There it is.
You know what? I might. I think a lot of people like Kaylee and I, like me and my friend Vicky, this was a big movie for us as,
Yeah, I
best
can see
friends
that.
going to the theater, and we both had huge crushes on him. And I think it would mean a lot to be like, I got our Peter Pan to make you a video. And I
For
thought
sure.
he was very good.
Yeah.
No, and like
I don't like an overacting child actor. I'm going to say that. I think that
Sure.
I would always rather see an underplayed child. I think Rachel Hurdwood is an exception because she was a very talented child actor, and most often you get really like big acting. I don't know. And I thought, Lisa, you said something cool when you were like, I don't know, he was just kind of like a narcissist. I'm like, I agree. And I think that's why I liked it. Like, is that he's got problems with emotion and expressing himself, and he's completely self-centered. So I don't know.
Just like got the most egomaniac. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I think he's well cast, but I don't think he's a good actor. I think that's kind of where I feel conflicted, because I do think it works for the movie and for the portrayal of Peter, but I just can't. Maybe, yeah, I think it's just a Matt thing where I'm super critical of not just acting in films, but I am usually trying to pay attention to whether or not a performance has been edited around, because I think that's like a thing that happens a lot. And it makes me judge how good I think a person is as an actor, as opposed to being able to accept if it works for the movie. So I think his performance works for the movie, but I'm biased because I just don't like him as an actor. But I do think definitely for people who have that connection to him, a cameo would be worth what he's charging. But I think he should put more effort. I think he could charge more, but he should put more effort into what he does, because he's one of those like Tom Feltons where I only saw 1 or 2, but they're not good. Solely because you can tell he just doesn't really seem to care. And that just, I don't like that. Like, you have all these fans that mean so, like, you mean so much to them. Show it. Show the appreciation, Jeremy. But if you're watching this, Jeremy, show it.
I love you.
Yes. I always secretly hope that one of these. Oh, sorry, see, there it is. Profile picture. He's in a wife.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, Jeremy. Like, I always secretly.
Paid like
Now I gotta look up Jeremy Sumter.
Sorry, what were you saying, Lisa?
I just wonder how much in like royalties he gets paid for Peter Pan.
Not
I'm
sure.
curious. Yeah.
I suspect it's not a lot, because that's an issue. That's a whole separate issue with child actors. They don't get paid that much.
Well,
Yeah.
someone got my $5, so I'm very bitter about that.
Everyone knows the title character, the actor who plays the title character, just pockets all of the streaming fees themselves. So
$5 to Jeremy Sumter, 90 more, and you can get a personalized message.
Oh,
Maybe he'll put on a shirt for it. Who knows?
No, I want him to be in a wife beater.
it's aesthetic.
It's true. It's his aesthetic. But maybe it would have worked when he was in his 20s. He's like 33 now. It's like, come on, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know, they grew up so fast. I also didn't realize he was so close in age to me. I'm assuming just because when I saw it, I was like probably 16 or 17, and it was probably shot earlier. Well, definitely was shot at least 2 or 3 years prior. So I never equate him as almost being the exact same age as me. It's very strange. But anyway, yeah, Jeremy Sumpter, you're an infamous fellow, and well done that you are Peter Pan forever in more ways than one. There it is. All right. So, any closing thoughts on live action Peter Pan? Let's just go around. We'll start with Lauren. What are your closing thoughts on this movie?
You know, I pretty much am where I was at the beginning. I think that I, find some things wrong, but overall, I enjoyed myself the second time. I think that people who like Kristen and Kaylee, who watched it when they were younger and have that nostalgic feeling, should continue to have that nostalgic feeling because it is a good adaptation of Peter Pan. And, no matter what I say or whoever, I just think that if you love it, you love it, And, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.
Well said. Lisa, closing thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with Lauren. I have a lot of nostalgic movies that I feel that a lot of people feel this way towards about Peter Pan. So I respect that, but my experience with it, I did not like it. Don't want to watch it again. But I'm glad, because I had never seen it, so it was a great thing to add to my knowledge of the Peter Pan lore and the Peter Pan toolbox. So
Peter Pan, what a toolbox it is.
Yeah.
And Kristen, closing thoughts.
I love it. I think it has its problems. It has its problems for sure. And like I said, it is weird coming back to it as an adult because I think it served its purpose for the age group it was geared towards. The best. I hear everybody when you say, coming to it fresh, it's a little bit of a different experience. I think that I want to know how in one scene Jason Isaac's hair is all matted and tangled and disastrous, and then immediately after he has these glossy, refined curls. And as someone who's been struggling to find a great curly hair system and is struggling this whole episode with whatever's going on, I envy that.
Oh no, you have excellent captain hair.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Well,
Beautiful.
I would love to play Captain Hook, I would say.
Oh,
No, you would make an
it is a
amazing Captain
delight.
Hook.
One other thing I would add is I wanted more mermaids.
I love
Always.
these
They
mermaids.
look so freaking cool.
The hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I was like, I want
claws.
more mermaids. I would have been okay with a fight scene with the mermaids and Wendy.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me more.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like these mermaids, to paraphrase something Matt said earlier, swam so that on Stranger Tides mermaids could meet. I don't know. That movie was terrible. But I do feel that those on Stranger Tides mermaids were slightly inspired by these ones.
Yeah.
Is that the fourth one or the fifth one?
Oh, it's the fourth one.
Okay, I thought that's the Rob Marshall one, right?
Yes.
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 I
Can't stand Rob Marshall, and I can't
What?
stand his pirates. No,
He's
What?
my favorite director.
I know we've talked about this.
Really?
I
Oh,
mean,
we probably have. Yes.
Listen, there's a time and a place and everything, but his Pirates of the Caribbean movies, I don't know. I have a lot of feelings, but
For sure.
if you ever do a Pirates,
I
let
should
me
do
know
it.
because I've seen them all multiple times.
There should be pirates. There's so many I want to do. Betty Davis, Pirates,
Yeah.
Whoopi, Roald Dahl. So many, only so many weeks in a year, but so many movies.
I know.
No, right? Quickly going to the comments.
Aw,
Mary
thank
loves
you.
your hair. Oh, and some questions. Who won? I think Kristen won.
Yes.
Thank you, Mary. Lisa won. No, so what happened was Lisa
Yeah.
won the bonus question, but it put her in a point tie with Lauren for second place.
Yeah.
But Kristen won by merit of knowing all these obscure actors and their resumes.
If there's any question, I did not win.
We're all winners and losers here, Lauren.
Yes.
There it is. Oh my gosh, that would be so long. There's so many movies, and
How many movies? Like 8 movies? 9?
especially
I think
now with Fantastic Beasts. Well, there's 8 like Harry Potter movies. Now there's 3 Fantastic Beasts movies. 11. It's 11 movies. So it's a lot. Although there's a lot to discuss there. Who knows? We'll see. So many movies, so little time. But with that said, do I have any closing thoughts? No. Okay, we're going to do a go around. You're going to tell us again who you are, where we can find you, and if you have anything super exciting coming up that you would like the nice people watching to know about. Let's start with our special guest, Kristen Zaza.
Oh, sorry, I was just zoning out, enjoying everybody's company for a second. I'm Kristen Zaza. My podcast, On a Dark Cold Night, is available at kristenzaza.com/podcast or anywhere you like to get your podcast apps, or anywhere, any app you know what I mean, anywhere you like to listen to podcasts. It's my bedtime ghost story podcast. That is it. Episode 190 was released today, so 10 more weeks of episodes before I take a little break. So it's a good time to catch up.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you so much.
Lisa.
Hello. I'm Lisa Alves. You can follow me on Instagram at Lisa_A_Alves. I post a lot of pictures of my hamsters, Eleanor Waffles and Theodora Umbrella, so you can check them out there. And you can also follow the theater company that I manage at Cahoots Theater. Again, if you're in Toronto, Canada, we have a show coming up in June that will be announced shortly. So stay tuned on that.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lisa. Lauren, same question.
Yes, I am with Castlescape and Clones on YouTube. You can also find me on Instagram at Castlescape and Clones. Friday, we're doing 0 to 60, 101 Dalmatians. And I have a Disney haul that's coming up next week. Magic Mail Mondays, always on Mondays. So, and then lots of box flops and tags coming up. So I got a busy schedule.
Brilliant. Well, excited for all of it. Thank you, Lauren. Until next week.
Thank you.
And of course, if you're watching this channel, you're on my channel. Please subscribe. Like, why not? It's a button. It's probably there. Click it. Just quick here. Yes, Mary, if you weren't here at the beginning. So Kristen, her podcast is called On a Dark Cold Night. Look it up. Bedtime Ghost Stories. It's fantastic. Subscribe. Love it. All right. And with that, friends, once again, thank you for joining us. My name is Matt and I have 2 degrees. This has been the Tea Cup for One. And make sure you join us next week for the grand finale of Peter Pan Month, where we will be discussing the Robin Williams classic Hook. Just have to put myself through watching 3 hours of that movie again. Okay. But until then, thank you. How do I end this?